We are here today in the Parliament thanks to the support and sponsorship of Robert Sturdy to launch our manifesto for colorectal cancer.
The whole point of all these things in the Parliament is it's very easy to say, well, of course it doesn't affect me or it affects somebody else. But if you bring awareness of the problems, then you start to get people to understand the problems as well and the effect that it can have on them. And so consequently I congratulate you both for the work you've done. And I hope that we can continue to help you in the European Parliament, more importantly, help people to understand the problem, because that's your aim. You're a non-profit making organisation which is working to basically help society across Europe. And I congratulate you on that.
One of the big things that we have to address is that cancer in general is a huge public health crisis in Europe, and Europe is not preparing itself for it. There's still a load of resistance at member state level to accept they have to invest in cancer. It's a growing problem, as you can see from the slides, and it's a bit awkward for some of you to see the slides, but in 2006 there were 1.7 million deaths from cancer. And the incidences are increasing. There were 3.2 million new cancer patients in 2006. So cancer is a huge issue, which I am delighted to see is now being picked up by the Commission and the Parliament after the Slovenian presidency, who really pushed cancer forward. With colorectal cancer, it's an even bigger shock for those of you that don't know it, but it's the second biggest cancer killer in Europe. And the sad thing is, it's highly treatable if it's diagnosed early. It's one of the, and Professor Van Cutsem I'm sure will confirm this, it's one of the most easily treatable of the gastrointestinal cancers if it's diagnosed early. I know that he's going to talk about this as well. I'm talking from the position where I'm going into these countries and I'm looking at these problems, and where do we have the problems? There's taboo of cancer, there's still embarrassment. People do not want to admit that they have cancer in Eastern European countries. You are ashamed, nearly, that you have cancer. It means that God thinks you're a bad person in some countries. Still, there's no organized screening, and gosh, we're going to push that today. There's a low understanding of the disease, low understanding of options, no cancer plans. If you have cancer plans, you have a strategy. If you have a strategy, you have objectives. If you have objectives, you have to fulfill them, and you start to make progress. This isn't happening, and that's shown in the cancer registries that are very erratic, very spasmodic. Big efforts are being made, but nevertheless, it's still not a good cancer registry. And of course, the big one, lack of money. Not enough money is being invested in cancer still. What would make a difference? We've already said this: early detection, treatment at the early stage of the disease, and now we live in a time where there is an explosion within the personalized treatments world, where you have targeted therapies. These are monoclonal antibodies that have specific effect on the tumor site.
We started last year in the first introduction for myself to this particular topic, and the most important thing is it was quite clear to me that there was a lack of awareness of something which is perfectly treatable, very easily treatable. The most important thing is that it's caught early in its stage, and therefore as a result of that we've raised this awareness brought this awareness campaign into being. And thanks to Yola, it's gaining strength right across the European Union, not just in the United Kingdom, not just in member states here in Belgium, and we are introducing a special Belgian awareness campaign today, but it's about the whole of the European Union, and it can only benefit mankind, both male and female, which rather surprised me, really, that in actual fact it's almost equality for once.
Yes, it's absolutely equal for both men and women, and I think the key messages of our manifesto are really important because it's raising awareness of colorectal cancer. It's trying to persuade member states to follow the recommendations of 2003 for screening. And it's about introducing cancer plans, because with cancer plans you have a strategy, with a strategy you have objectives, and with objectives you have results. The problem is that a lot of countries who don't have cancer plans are going off on tangents when they're not really achieving the key objective, which is screening for populations across Europe.
But you introduced me to something which I didn't, it's almost a taboo thing. Perhaps you might just sort of say a bit about that, because it's something that people don't want to talk about.
Well, I know, and I think partly cancer in general is a disease people don't like to talk about. But when it comes to colorectal cancer, because it's such a private part of the body, and it's so difficult to talk about bleeding bottoms. It took me time to be able to say something like this, especially on live television and programs, to say bleeding bottoms. You could see people's faces startled. But the reality of it, if people don't talk about it and keep it a secret, or self-diagnose, which is even worse, by saying, well, I've got piles, we won't make progress. We have to break down those taboos. And Robert, you're getting there.